Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
Hi, I'm Jessica Faust. Oh, I'm chipper today.
Yeah, you are. Well, we haven't done this in a while, so forgive anything that might be rusty. We are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing from beginning to end. And today we're talking, I think it's kind of a favorite topic of ours, how to handle an offer of representation.
I am super excited to talk about this.
Yeah, this is all Jessica's idea. She came to me with it fully planned out and everything. So we're coming at it from a different angle this time around, though. The top 10 mistakes that you can make when you are handling, managing, alerting, all of that fun stuff for an offer of rep.
Yeah, we've done the videos and the blogs on the questions to ask and
how to do it the right way.
Yeah, and what to do when you get an offer, what steps you should take. Now we kind of, hopefully in a fun way, want to talk about the mistakes that authors make that truthfully, while we can say there are pet peeves, which they can be, it's also because they hurt the author.
But also, in all of our other videos, we were really specific about how to get that process going, how to, handle it from your end. But that process could also bring about some, details that we may have missed. And coming at it from this angle, I think covers all of our bases. Yeah. So let's just dive right into them because we do this all the time. We hype up our own video in the video. So number one, your first mistake is not notifying agents. And to be more specific, not notifying all of the agents that you want to work with.
It's such basic, number one, most important thing that throughout the querying process, you feel like you have no control. You send out your query or
you don't.
Right. And you're just waiting on other people. But finally, the ball is in your court when you get that first offer from an agent. And it's really important. My constant reminder is that you are hiring an agent to be your business partner. So take the opportunity to fully interview all potential prospects.
Yes. So what we mean, though, by notifying agents is when you get an offer of representation, it's customary for you to then alert all of the other agents that are considering your work. However, you could be querying and casting a pretty wide net. So should you then alert potentially 30 people who have your manuscript that you have an offer of rep and potentially have 30 conversations?
Well, now we're going to move into number two.
All right, go ahead.
But first of all, what I would say about number one, not notifying the agents, is you want to notify the agents who have your submission. But you also should feel free to notify those who have your query but you haven't heard from yet. Because if James is on the top of your list and he just hasn't gotten to your query yet, don't assume it's a pass. Give yourself the opportunity to be able to interview James as a potential agent for you.
Right. And then the flip side, like you were getting at, is notifying those 30 agents, that everyone who has it. And the reason why we think that could be a mistake is because the next 2 weeks is going to be a time where you are reflecting. You are speaking with agents, you are setting up all these phone calls and speaking to clients, and 30 is a lot of people to do that with.
And let's be honest, we both know, and by both, I mean me and you, the viewer, that you don't have interest in working with all 30 of those agents. Right. That there are some agents you queried because you thought you should. But when push comes to shove, this agent who offered is, in your mind, already heads and tails above them.
Right. So what I was going to say is we all, whether it's mental, written down on a piece of paper, in our query tracking, we have like this tier list, right? Of right. If this agent comes in, all of these people are just not cutting it for me, but all of these people will. So when you have that agent come in, maybe from your dream agent, you might not go to some newer agents that you just heard of, or some agents that you're not really sure you would want to work with, but you've heard about them, or a friend works with them. You want to go with the agents that, if it's your dream agent, that could knock that agent out of that top spot.
Yeah, and what I would say is too many is really conceivably any more than 5. But if that makes you nervous to only tell 5 agents, then maybe make it 10. Between 5 and 10, because that's still a lot. I mean, if they all come back with an offer, now you're going to interview a lot of people. And
And those calls are an hour to 2 hours, and then, you know, reading contracts and speaking to clients and potential follow-up calls. It's going to be a lot of your time.
Exhausted just thinking about it.
Right. I never want to handle an offer rep. I never want to do it. So number 3 is not giving, and this sort of goes to that, not giving agents or yourself enough time to have that process and make that decision. So on the agent side, giving an agent 2 days to read a full manuscript, it's a tough turnaround.
And that hurts you.
Yes.
Because if somebody gets in touch with me and says, let's say it's a Monday, and they say, I got an offer of representation and I want to make my decision by Wednesday, the likelihood that I have Monday and Tuesday night both free to read a full book and then think about it, right, and then plan whether I'm the right agent for this, and then set up a phone call and then have the phone call all by Wednesday is just really not likely in my world. And so I may decide I'm just going to have to step aside because I don't have enough time. And now you've lost out on the possibility of talking to all of those agents who step aside simply because of time.
So 2 things there. And first, I mean, if that is your dream agent, you are still losing out on something by having another agent be interested in having a conversation with another agent. You're missing out on the ability to just explore your options and to maybe learn of something that could be done that maybe this one didn't speak about, and just sort of compare and contrast, right?
Yeah.
But you're also sort of robbing yourself from the ability to, like on your end, robbing yourself from the ability to effectively make that decision. It's a big decision to make. It's a process. And if you're giving the agents 3 days to turn around, in my head, I'm thinking, when are you going to make your decision? So you're not giving yourself enough decision time. I mean, we've talked about it on the channel before. My best tip is if you're giving yourself 2 weeks to make the decision, give the agents a week and a half.
Agreed. I think that's 100% true. Or give everybody 2 weeks, end your 2 weeks on Friday, and then tell them that you are going to give yourself the weekend to make the decision. So it's a tad more than 2 weeks. Typically 2 weeks is the time that authors give themselves to make a decision. How you want to play that out with the agents making offers. But that is, I think, the typical this expected time.
Agreed. So number 4 is not asking questions.
Yeah, this is such an important piece of your career and step in your career. And you really need to ask all the questions. Go on.
I've had phone calls with authors who were so nervous or so excited that there were no questions. And in that case, what I do is I push for a second call, or just like give them the time and shoot over an email with any questions that you might have. Yeah. That is the time that you need to ask everything you need to know.
And have your questions now.
Yeah. Because as soon as you query, you should have that list.
Yeah. Start making your questions now. Watch our videos. Now, James and I have had the advantage of, because we do the videos, we have answered a lot of people's questions, which I understand, but there's still some basic questions, which we've done on other videos out, like about you and your work and your specific needs as an author and as a human and all of these things that you should ask. And, to reiterate, it's a business relationship, and if you are going to open a bakery with a business partner, you might want to know basic things like, can you bake? Right. So really just asking those kinds of questions is really important. And also it's the only way to really start the process of evaluating whether an agent's right for you.
You can do all of the research in the world on this agent, but there's still going to be the question of, everything I know about you, how does it apply to me, to my book, to my career? And that's what this call is for.
And we learn a lot about conversation and how an agent might answer questions. If you ask me a question and my response is, oh, just go watch our YouTube. Well, then if you call me with a question as a client, am I going to say, you could have Googled that?
And I don't know says a lot to me. Like, oh, I don't know the answer to that question. That says a lot to me because I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find the answer for you is what I'm looking for.
Yes.
So like there is a lot that just, even if you have some like, small, questions that don't really relate to the bigger picture that you want the answer to, you should ask them because that's the time to do it.
And also, how comfortable are you asking? Did you talk to one agent where it just, everything flowed, you felt very comfortable, you couldn't even believe the questions you were asking because you felt most comfortable? And then were you on another call where you felt you were made to feel in some way, shape, or form that you just shouldn't ask any questions, and so you didn't?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that leads us into our next one.
Yes.
Which is not trusting your gut or letting others weigh in on your decision. That's what these phone calls are for. They are for that gut check, that vibe test, whatever you call it. You want to know, is this the right person that I should get into business with?
I've gotten that. I've felt that a lot. Not all of the time. I mean, not every client I've offered on in all of these years has accepted my offer of representation, and my hope is that each and every time, I'm not for everybody and you found that person who is for you. But there are occasionally times when I get a sense from the way the author turned down my offer that it wasn't a decision they were making, but they were buying into either, I guess I'm just going to say, pressure from others. So it could be that everybody else heard of that other agent, but not me in the same way. And so there's a cachet to it. So you're buying into the public impression or what your critique group says, or that your best friend heard great things or is also represented by that person, but you're buying into something that's not necessarily you. It's, to me, it's sort of like when you're shopping for a house and you really like the house, but you cannot stand the decor. Well, somebody else clearly can, but it's not for me, which is a terrible example.
Terrible metaphor, but
and it was not food either. I should stick to food.
We're just going to move on to number 6 now. So number 6, and this is a good one. And I think a lot of people, we get the questions a lot that sort of lend to this on social media. And I think this is a good one to think about now. But planning for that perfect agent. Planning for the agent that will love every single project you plan to write or have ever written, will rep every genre that you plan to write or have ever written.
Stay around forever.
Right. People quit, people die. I mean,
people die. They really do.
They do. So, planning for that, happily ever after, New York Times bestseller success forever, it's impossible, will drive you crazy and make this entire decision-making process about 50 times more difficult.
You can't guarantee anything.
No.
What is it? Well, whatever. I'm just going to stay away from my cliches and metaphors for right now.
I think that's best.
If you have dreams of writing in 10 different genres, that's great. But until you've got books ready to go in all 10 genres, then don't worry about it. And I've said this before, but I think very often when authors start out, they have visions and lots of ideas and lots of different genres. But the reason the agent's offering in this particular book and this particular genre is because you did it well. You knocked it out of the park. And therefore, this might be your genre and those other ones might not. You don't know that. But to assume that you're going to plan for this perfect future, the flip side to that is I am all over the place today. The flip side to that is you're going to change as a writer. You're going to grow. What you write is going to change and grow. And the agent's going to do the same because we're all human and we all change and grow. So to try to predict how that's going to go and that you'll do it together is just impossible. So find the person for today.
Yeah, and I tell you this all the time. At this point, I should just stitch it on a pillow or something. If you make plans, publishing breaks plans. And that is every single time.
We're going to make that into our BookEnds, in our BookEnds gift shop, a mug
right,
that
a little mug. But it's true. Every time you plan what's going to be your debut, who's going to be your agent, what publisher is going to offer, strategy for negotiating. anytime you make those plans, something changes and all of those plans are rethought, and publishing breaks your plans. So I tell myself that all the time because I think 35 steps ahead. And then I'm like, it's just about, I'm like, let me back up because that's too far and anything could happen by then. So
I mean, pandemic is perfect example. It flipped the whole entire world upside down. So plan for today, plan for what feels right now.
Exactly. Number 7, thinking you're not good enough or you're not feeling confident in the decision that you've made. You know, a lot of that, it's publishing. We all know imposter syndrome is always right behind us. Get rid of it. Throw it out the door, lock it, leave it out there. Just be confident in what you've done, celebrate that success, and own it.
Be in the moment. You are a hot commodity right now. You know, this agent who is offering representation is hanging up that phone and rethinking everything they said. And did I pitch myself good enough? And how did they respond? And do I think they liked me? And will they sign with me? And they are posting on Slack every day till they hear from you. Oh my God, I haven't heard. And I've been Googling. And these 5 agents started following them on Twitter. So they must have offered too. And now, and like, so remind yourself of that right now. This agent is thinking only of you in your book, and you need to use that power to empower yourself to make the decision that's right for you, not the, well, I'm not good enough for that agent, or I don't know why anyone would offer. I'm not going to contact all these agents because nobody else would be interested. Don't do that to yourself.
No, never. You're only cutting yourself off.
Yeah.
Number 8, being afraid to follow up, have a second phone call with any offering agent, speak to any offering agent's clients, basically pursuing the information that you still need after that initial phone call to make your decision.
Yeah, so I think it's especially important, especially that first phone call with that first agent. Plan for a second one. You know, usually you might be a little flustered. You might not even remember what was said. So feel free to say, I think one of the last times I offered representation, on that first phone call, we actually scheduled a second one for closer to when the author wanted to make a decision. So we could follow up and have another phone call after they'd talked to other agents and had more perspective and a bigger picture.
And it's not just you too. I mean, we're nervous for that. So giving us a second call, you know, you sort of get a sense of how we actually operate, because now it's, okay, was it just nerves, anxiety, excitement, or is this pattern? Is this person still excited to speak with me? Do they still have the same plans? All of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm always happy to. I actually encourage a second call. And personally, I'm always a little disappointed if they don't want one. I figure I'm not doing a good job if they don't want to talk to me again. I mean, I'm charming. Why wouldn't they want to talk to me twice?
All right. Number 10, well, actually number 9, this is a big one, not notifying those agents, all the agents that you have already notified that you have an offer of rep, not notifying them when you've accepted an offer of rep.
Or even the agents who you submitted to but weren't interested enough in notifying that you had an offer.
Yes, so everybody in publishing needs a little more time, right? Like we could all use a 25th hour in the day. It would suck if an agent is reading your work after you've accepted an offer of rep, or has put all this time into offering a rep because they love your work, they want to work with you, and then never hear from you.
Yeah, it does suck. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been a little slow on queries, and I'm pretty dang fast.
Right.
And I reach out to an author and they say, oh, I've already accepted an offer. And I'm like, well, so I just wasted how many hours reading this work?
More importantly than that is you never know when you're going to cross paths with that person again.
Or when your first relationship is not going to work out, now you have to reach out and say, exactly. I was really interested, but I didn't bother to tell you that the first time around. That is harder to deal with for me than the person who accepted a different offer and comes back. If you turn down my offer because, I don't know, you were starstruck by somebody else, and then down the road, that relationship didn't work out and you came back, that's fine. That's part of the business to
Absolutely.
me. If you didn't even bother to notify me or respond or you know, and then I wasted all this time. That's harder for me to get over.
Well, yeah, and that, but also an agent could become an editor, or, you know, all of these things can happen. But also it's not a great feeling either when you do offer and maybe you don't hear until the next day after your deadline. Like, shoot an email. I think having that communication is always important. Yes. Because if you set a May 27th deadline and I don't hear from you until May 29th, I've spent 48 hours all upset that you went elsewhere. And I would have loved to know. So, you know, plan when you are ready to accept that offer of representation, plan to also reject other offers of representation.
And please know that if you do that to James, you ruin all of our 48 hours.
Right. I've actually never had that happen to me, but I don't want it to happen to me.
No, and also just get the clean slate. Rip the Band-Aid off. You know, accept your offer. Get that paperwork signed. I don't even think you need to sign it. You accept that offer and then go ahead and drop the email to everyone else, thanking them, you know, letting them know that you've accepted another offer. If you want, tell them who it is. We always want to know anyway, and it doesn't hurt. And then they will hopefully all go buy your book. Because
I was just going to say, I think being graceful in this industry and you know, respectful and courteous to everyone is only going to help you in the long run, because I'm going to buy your book, or I'm going to retweet if you come across, you know, like all of those things that you never know what sort of interaction you have with someone might lead someone to support you. So, you know, just handle this whole process as courteously as possible. Is that a word? Anyway, number 10 is the fun one. Don't forget to celebrate. Everybody forgets to celebrate.
They get so into the next steps that we've just outlined. I need to do this and I need to do this. Like, oh my God, you get that offer. Take the night to get a good dinner, and however you like to celebrate it. And then you can contact all those other agents the next day.
Yes. But I'm a celebrator. I think you need to celebrate every step in this process. And even when our clients, like, we get an offer, you celebrate when you get an offer, you celebrate when you accept an offer, you celebrate when you sign a contract. Those are my rules. Any client will tell you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big fan. I just told people to celebrate today. In fact, I'm constantly like, are you celebrating? Go and celebrate. I'm going to go back. You go celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, everything in publishing is hurry up and wait, right? Like, we're rushing, we get something done, and then you got to wait anyway. So, I mean, take the breather, enjoy the time, you know, give yourself that mental refresher before you then dive into the next step, because you are going to want it and you are going to need it. It's
a big freaking deal.
It is a big freaking deal. We have a blog post on that that's not as PG.
Probably not. I wrote it.
Yeah. Well, those are our top 10. We hope that they were helpful, and we hope that you never make any of these mistakes when you are handling an offer of representation. More importantly, if you're watching this when you have received an offer of representation, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing your books on the shelves. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next time.
Bye.